All right, so anyway, so we had this script. We spent a while writing, plotting the script. We were thinking of ways to get back into the narrative structure of both a mockumentary style aesthetic as well as a full-on horror aesthetic. How can we get back into that without doing the exact same thing we did before? And what kind of narrative structure that would be. So we had a lot of rules that we needed to back into. And of course we wanted to notch that up a level. So it took a couple years, 2.5 years or so. But we finished the script over a year ago, and we're constantly working on it. Gave it to Robert England as our litmus test, and
We call him Robert.
And he really liked it, and so from that point on, we decided to start going out and raising.
You guys are dating?
Yes. So Bobby and I started going out, and that's the end of the story. What was the question?
So then I have to ask Nathan. So obviously they come to you and they say, "Hey, we've got a script for sequel. Read it." Before you even read it, what was your first thought?
Oh, pardon me. Nathan read it way before Robert did, though. So, and Nathan actually had a bunch of really interesting comments and questions.
That was a pretty long email, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
An email that was prefaced and post-scripted with, now, I'm not a writer, so you could probably just not take any of these suggestions, but this is what I think.
Right. I mean, look, this wasn't going to happen unless Nathan was on board, and what we wanted to do was we wanted to not only forward the story along, but also bring our own experiences of where we went after this movie into it, and it's not semi-biographical, but there's always a piece of yourself in the art, which is why I'm really interested in Father's Day. Saw that last night. It was awesome.
Front row, ladies and gentlemen, the stars of Father's Day. So Nathan, the question that I had just asked you, you want to answer?
What was the question?
How did you feel before you even read the script? Did you think
I
this
didn't think it was a good idea.
And then when you read it, it changed your mind.
I thought it's a better idea.
And now you think it's a great idea.
Oh, it's definitely a great idea. They were really remarkably gracious about being receptive to a guy whose calling is clearly not writing and conceiving things.
Except 2 kids.
And kind of plugging it into their what? What did you say? Oh yeah. Did that. But yeah, it felt, I don't know, yeah. So I felt like with the first time around, what was really remarkable to me were how many parallels there felt like there were between the experience that I was having as an actor who had a career where I was, journeyman, learning, training, this and that, and I put everything into it, and here I am, and I'm about to make it, and it feels like this is the moment, this is the time, done it, here is it, ready, and that is exactly where it felt like Leslie was, and it felt like it was remarkable how many parallels were going on there, and so the thought I felt kept on ringing with me was when we were talking about sequel, how about he's not just, we're picking up where we left off, and how about he thought he was going to blow up and he didn't, and he's been struggling with that and striving with that, and how has he responded to that. I felt like that was interesting territory to mine, given that a lot of what was interesting with the first film was playing with the worlds that we were dealing with and acknowledging the worlds that we were dealing with in really interesting ways. Well, what if the struggles that Leslie is having now are the struggles that we're having now? We're trying to compete for people's attention in a world where their every whim can be, met with the click of a cell phone. How do you grab people's attention? How do you have an effect on a world? How do you get your message out to a world where there's just it's harder to reach people now than it was 10 years ago? How do you break through? And that felt like some really interesting questions to try to answer.